Hi everyone, welcome to Talk. I'm Marie Celestin. Today we have a great program where we'll be talking about critical thinking in business. Joining me today is Bob Schoenberg, who is, a resident of Cambridge and also professor at UMASS Boston. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here. So this book I feel like I've been waiting for a while because I felt like I knew that it was in the works, but now it's great to sort of get a better sense of what it's about. So let's start the program with how did you personally got involved into the critical thinking field as an academic or personally?
Well, I was teaching critical thinking at UMass Boston, and more of my students were business students.
Okay.
Initially, they were education, then we started getting students from various disciplines, but more and more were business, and I started to include more and more materials in the course. Then I got to thinking, maybe I should create a course, an actual book for these people, and
great.
So that's what I did, and I actually was encouraged by a couple of other people to do it. So I did it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great focus, especially now, thinking of the economic times that we're living in. Do you find that people are discovering or rediscovering the role of critical thinking in business and other organizations?
Yeah, more and more people looking at the economy and thinking that, jeepers, how did these people miss this?
Yeah, yeah. They didn't hire you. You could have told them all along what to do.
They weren't thinking critically.
Yeah.
That's for
so, do you still see that even though they're in trouble right now, like, is there a, how do we integrate critical thinking even though they're already in trouble? Like, is it too late or can they still apply?
No, I think you can apply it, but it's probably more of a need to do it now than before because now is a crisis and you really need to come up with a solution that's going to work, because if you make a bad choice, you're going to make the problem worse.
Okay. So one of the things I remember from taking your class is always starting with, what is critical thinking? So you're in the hot seat now. In your own words, how do you define critical thinking?
Well, first of all, let me say that there's probably over 100 different definitions, and they keep changing. But what I like to tell people is critical thinking is a set of thinking skills, and it often involves skills such as metacognition, frame of reference, assumptions. But critical thinking in general has to do with seeking the truth.
Okay. And so do you see... So although the book is about critical thinking in business, like what other field can critical thinking skills be applied in?
All of them.
Everything.
Everything.
So whether it's
virtually
education.
every profession can benefit from critical thinking, and even personal relationships can benefit from it too.
Okay. So I mean, I think when you're already part of something, sort of you see the relevance of it in everything, but a lot of time you almost have to sell the idea to other people. What do you say to people who resist the idea of critical thinking in the workplace or in school or in different environments?
Well, I think part of it is people don't understand what it is. Initially, people joke with me all the time. They say, well, you teach critical thinking. What do you do, teach people to be critical?
Right.
And it's actually just the opposite, because critical thinkers are people who look at both sides of an argument and then will seek evidence to reach a conclusion.
So it's not
very
just
different from being judgmental or critical. It's the opposite of it.
It's the opposite. So I know you you teach the class at UMass Boston, and so over the years, have you seen, in what ways have you seen students sort of using what they're learning in the classroom?
Well, many of my students are professional people who are already employed, and what they do is they actually take the skills and bring it right into the workplace.
Okay.
And I've seen a number of people do that and do it very successfully.
Okay. And so after learning the skills, they're able to sort of, I guess, pass on the skills or, teach it to others.
Part of what I do in the course is actually they do a project where they implement the skills in their workplace, or at least they design a way or method of doing that, and some of them have been very, very successful at implementing that. It depends on the business too.
Right.
It makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I think, that's one of the questions that I had in terms of thinking about so many businesses or even managers are very resistant, because critical thinking, although it seemed relevant, it's not sort of like a traditional approach to running a business or interacting with employees or interacting with, people, whether it's friends or personal relationships. And so I'm trying to think if there's a way to sort of, some examples you can give in ways that people can, let's say, apply it to their personal relationships, for example.
Well, I think one of the ways is by looking at assumptions and realizing that an assumption is that. It's something that you think is true, but you don't know for certain.
Okay.
And in the workplace,